watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Shanika Grimshaw. So it's Thursday. We have meteorologist Damon Matson joining us with the latest check on the forecast. And Damon, so we are watching Aaron right now before Damon comes up, and you can see those waves there. It does look really gray, all those clouds there. And this is the closest Aaron will get. It is turning past the DMV. As Damon, you tried to explain to me just a moment ago. Hopefully I said it right. But yeah, what's it looking like right now?
Yeah, all good. And yeah, Shanika, you saw those angry waves right there in Ocean City, and that's going to be the big story along some of the eastern shores of Maryland, even over into Delaware. The water is going to be extremely rough, but you saw people walking on the boardwalk there. It's not, Aaron isn't going to get close enough to cause any significant direct impacts to coastal areas near the DMV, and for that matter, we won't see any direct impacts either. There's the center of Aaron on satellite. It is moving off to the east now at this point. It is roughly 430 miles from Washington, D.C., the center of the storm. But you see how expansive this hurricane is, those outer cloud bands making it all the way over to the eastern shore of Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and some of that cloud cover spilling into the DMV as well. So yes, we are seeing a very cloudy sky. That will be the case through the rest of the day. But the only impacts we will see from Aaron, a little bit of coastal flooding where we have a coastal flood watch through Saturday morning in parts of Anne Arundel County. There's likely to be some more of that coastal flooding along the eastern shore near the Chesapeake and the tidal Potomac, but that is it. No other alerts in place for the rest of the DMV. It is just going to be a cloudy, very breezy and cool day once again, folks. Because of the clouds and those breezy northerly winds that are out there, we will struggle to hit the mid-70s. Now, as Aaron starts to depart going into the weekend, are we expecting sunshine and warmer temperatures to make a return? We'll have your full forecast with that answer coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. There are still questions over what role D.C. police will have to play in immigration enforcement nearly a week after an order from Attorney General Pam Bondi. DC News Now's Max Marcilla has the latest from D.C. Police headquarters with a look at the part of the story.
While D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser waits for a ruling from the courts, there are some restrictions in place for what D.C. police can and can't do when it comes to immigration enforcement. So Attorney General Pam Bondi first released an order calling for Mayor Bowser to provide D.C. police to help with a number of things. That order coming out on Friday. Those measures include the enforcement of federal immigration law, locating, apprehending, and detaining undocumented immigrants, and requests for information from federal law enforcement. But MPD officers don't have to perform those actions if they violate existing D.C. code or MPD policy. The mayor spoke about the issue yesterday, but first you'll hear from Jaime Contreras, who leads a workers' union and says the latest crackdown has workers he represents feeling fearful.
But people in general are sick and tired of the scare and racist terror tactics that are being used against the immigrant community and our people in general.
We do know that the presidential executive order and subsequent orders address these issues, and we will always have resource constraints with MPD, and we want to make sure that our enforcement is focused on violence and violent offenders.
On Saturday, D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwab says he is still evaluating the order from Attorney General Pam Bondi. Reporting outside D.C. Police Headquarters, Max Marcilla, D.C. News Now.
And turning now to local lawmakers, they're pushing for federal law enforcement to wear body cameras, and that is while they're patrolling in the district. D.C. Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton claims officers are using excessive force when making arrests. She and Northern Virginia Congressman Don Bayers say they will introduce a bill when Congress returns from break to require them to wear the cameras and put them on dashboards in their vehicles.
Hey guys, Eddie, come here. So, we decided.
And Vice President J.D. Vance and the Defense Secretary both visiting the National Guard troops. That was at Union Station. There are 800 D.C. guards and more than 1,000 service members from Republican-led states like South Carolina, Ohio, Louisiana, and West Virginia. And a new poll shows support for the federal takeover in D.C. is split. Researchers with the progressive-leaning group Data for Progress says 51% oppose the federal takeover. 51% of all voters believe the president is doing what is necessary to crack down on crime. Responses were split along party lines, with 87% of Democrats strongly opposing Trump's federal takeover. Only 17% of Republicans say they oppose the president's actions. And you can see our full continuing coverage of President Trump's takeover of D.C. police on our website. You'll also find the many reactions to the president's crackdown, what D.C. families and businesses are experiencing, and a breakdown of the violent crime statistics that police say is at a 30-year low. Just go to our website, dcnewsnow.com, and click on the D.C. Takeover tab. And developing now at noon, an appeals court has thrown out a civil fraud penalty case against President Donald Trump. The panel ruled today that the $500 million judgment that was handed down last year was excessive. The new ruling allows either side to pursue an appeal to new higher courts. And 2 men are in the hospital this afternoon after a crash in Northeast D.C. This happening near North Capitol Street and Florida Avenue. D.C. Fire and EMS say 2 vehicles collided and one of them were overturned. Right now, no word on their condition at this hour. And in Virginia, Fairfax County Police say 7 people are facing charges in connection to a retail theft. They say last month, police responded to reports of shoplifting at the Home Depot on Reston Parkway. Police say they found the 7 suspects inside of the store and took them into custody. In total, the suspects stole more than $20,000 worth of items from that store. And developing now in Maryland, we're learning new information on a horrific 7-car crash in Prince George's County that claimed the lives of 2 people. One victim had just gotten back from a family vacation. DC News Now's Tim Reed has more from relatives who describe their cousin as a woman who always lit up the room.
State police tell us 7 vehicles were involved in the fatal accident Tuesday afternoon right here along Landover Road. Family members of one of the victims killed in that crash is speaking out and are grieving their loss.
It was just yesterday that we talked to her, and then today we're planning a memorial service. So it's nothing that you can explain or put a timeline for, because our hearts are broken.
Family members of 31-year-old Deandra Byrd are grieving. Just 1 week ago, they all went on vacation in Aruba. They spent the afternoon flipping through photos, remembering what she meant to the family.
I'm thankful and grateful because although I always spent time with Deandra here, but we were able to come together and we have those lasting memories. We were able to take pictures on the beach with the entire family.
Tuesday, police say Byrd and her friend, Tara Gross, were both killed in a multi-car accident in the intersection of Landover Road and St. Joseph's Drive. Gross was driving and Byrd was her passenger.
I want people to remember that Deandra was very giving, loving, full of life. Anybody that she met, they loved her.
State police say a person driving a Honda Accord struck a curb divider and went airborne. The Honda then hit a Toyota Tundra, pushing it into another car. 4 other vehicles were struck. As a result of the collision, the vehicle Deandra Byrd was riding in was also hit.
I feel really bad. I've never had a family member who passed away since my parents.
State police say speed was a factor and charges are pending the outcome of this investigation. In Landover, Maryland, Tim Reed, DC News Now.
All right, it is now 12:10. Turning now to Berkeley County, officials in West Virginia are now holding an anti-crime task force news conference. There, officials are speaking about the arrests made through their program with the help of neighboring and federal officials. DC News Now's Stephen Cohen will have more on today's presser, and that's going to be at 4. And Prince George's County Police recruits were conducting mock traffic stops this morning with local citizens for a good cause. The goal of the police practice session is to show how they do a traffic stop, and volunteers and residents will learn what to do when they are pulled over by officers. Today's mock traffic stop event is called Before the Badge Community Event, and a number of local residents participated, and officers say it's a good learning event for everyone involved.
Anyone that wants to learn how to go through a traffic stop and see what different steps they go through when they get pulled over by the police and how to handle a traffic stop, they can practice it here so that they know what to do when they actually get pulled over.
And that event you see there was held at the Riverdale Baptist School in Upper Marlboro.